Hey guys, it's Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. So happy June 26th or 626. As we all know, is the code name or official name? I don't know what to call it. Stitch's other name. So in honor of 626 Day, I decided to make a set of Stitch ears for you guys. These are definitely unique. I didn't feel like going just the classic route of like making ears that are Stitch's ears or just making like blue furry ears. I wanted to do something that I had never seen before. And so I decided to do this. On this side we have his badness levels, which this and I did another set of ears that were Luca, where I drew like the diagram of their Vespa. It's like my favorite type of painting to do because it's supposed to be messy and look like a child did it. Easy, done. On this side, I have a Disney Doorable inside of a little ornament, and it is Alien Stitch. And I liked it because I glued him from the top, looking like he's like crawling around in there. And then of course, these light up. The lighting does have settings. We've got like flashing, a slower flashing, and then a steady. I'm gonna turn this off. It's kind of hard to see during the day, but the biggest reason I did it is because it reflects red up here and it looks so cool, like in that scene where he escapes and they're chasing him. That's what it reminded me of. At night, the light is seen very, very well, but during the day with like a ring light on, it's a little trickier to show you guys. If you guys are interested in how I made these ears and making a set of your own, then just keep watching. Starting off with the drawing side, we're going to be using just this plain white cotton fabric that I have on hand. And then using the biggest template that I have linked down below for you guys is my ear cutting line template. Now, instead of tracing this, I did just lazy girl it, and I'm using my rotary blade just to go ahead and cut around the fabric. But normally I do take a fabric marker and trace this onto the fabric and then cut it out. But honestly, either way works if you have one of these little rolling rotary blades. If not, fabric scissors will work just fine. Using that same template, I'm going to trace this onto a piece of white felt, and I'm going to cut 2 of those out as well. And then the last layer for this side is cardboard, so I'm going to be using the smallest template, which is the foam and batting template, and I'm going to be tracing 2 of these onto a sheet of cardboard, and then I'm going to be cutting those out using an X-Acto knife, but again, scissors will totally work. Once you have all of those pieces cut out, then you can start assembling. So I'm going to start with the cardboard and the felt, laying the cardboard on top of the felt. I'm going to do a thin line of hot glue at the top of the ear and then fold over my felt and tap it down into the hot glue. And then I'll repeat these steps going down the sides of the ear. Now you guys are going to see me work in 3 pretty large sections, but if this is your first time making ears, I do suggest working in smaller sections just until your hands kind of get used to what you're doing. And so you allow the hot glue to have time before it dries. Once you've attached the sides, I do leave the bottom portion open, but I'm going to move on to the fabric piece. So you're going to attach the fabric the exact same way you did the felt, do a line of hot glue, and then fold over your fabric and tap it down into the glue. Again, working in whatever size sections of glue that you are comfortable with. You are going to want to pull the fabric tight, but not move the fabric. So you want to make sure that the fabric stays positioned as you had it to where it's equal on both sides, but also make sure that you've got it nice and tight on your ear. Once you've closed up all of the sides, then you're going to cut the bottom portion in half, apply hot glue, and you're going to fold each flap over one at a time. So I'm folding over 1/2 of the bottom and then pressing that down into the hot glue. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I am using this little silicone finger cover from Dollar Tree. These are fantastic for crafting and they're so cheap. Once you've created the 2 halves, you're going to go ahead and attach them, applying hot glue to the center of the ear and then firmly pressing down the 2 halves together. You're going to want to hold your hands down on top of these and really hold it in place until you feel the glue cool off to the touch when you touch the ears. Once you have the 2 halves attached, then you can go in and sketch your little stitch drawing. I just pulled up a reference photo on my phone and just kind of freehanded it. Again, this is really fun and you really should let yourself enjoy the fact that it's not supposed to be perfect and that it's supposed to look like a silly little doodle.
I'm going to be using a black paint marker to outline the sketch that I made, and this is just a paint marker from Walmart. You can get a singular black paint marker, or you can buy a 4-pack that also has red in it, which is the next one that I'm going to be using. I do use the fine tip paint marker only, so make sure that if you're buying this, that it says fine tip. And then I'm literally just going in and following all of the pencil markings, like super simple, super easy. To color it in, I'm just using a red fine-tipped paint marker, and this is, again, so easy. Like, you want to make sure that you're not perfectly coloring it in and kind of change directions of which way you're coloring. Sometimes I did it in like a swirl pattern, sometimes I did vertical or horizontal, and I just tried to make it look like a child colored it. And this is what it looked like when I was done. We will be adding trim onto this ear, but I'm going to wait until I have the ears assembled because I honestly wasn't sure what color I wanted to use. Now for my little Stitch figurine, I got this from Five Below, and gosh, this was risky because it was a little Disney Doorable of Stitch, and I really needed it to be Alien Stitch, and lucky for me it was. But they are wrapping the Doorables in this little plastic casing, so it's so much harder to feel if you're getting the right one. So they must know that people like me are doing that. But also, this was $5, and I'm sorry, but Doorables should not be $5 for one. For this next step, you are going to need a wood carving tool. I'm also going to refer to this as a hot knife because it's a knife that gets hot. And then I'm putting in the little piece that looks like an X-Acto knife. So it's literally like a little blade that you plug into your hot knife. And while my hot knife is heating up, I'm going to unwrap this little ornament. These are clear disc ornaments. They're 90 millimeters. And I do have them linked in my Amazon storefront in case you guys need them. I've made so many ears with these. So if you guys are like, oh, but what am I going to do with an entire pack of these? I do have other ear tutorials that include using this type of ornament. To get the curve on the bottom of the ornament that I need, I'm going to use my foam and batting template, which is the smallest template that we used earlier, and I'm going to loosely trace a little curved line on the bottom of the ornament. And then using my hot knife, I am going to slowly cut out this little curve. So the hot knife is literally going to melt its way through the plastic. Make sure that you're doing this in a well-ventilated area because occasionally I get like smoke coming off of it, and I don't know if that's dangerous. I haven't had any problems, but I just try to do it with the window open just to make myself feel better. But anyway, I'm going to be doing this to both sides, and then now you have a nice little opening that will better match the curvature of the headband and make it a lot easier to attach this when the time comes. Now, a way to attach this that makes it much easier is to add felt onto the bottom. So using that same white felt, I'm just going to cut a little scrap piece, and then I'm going to trim this up to fit the bottom of the hole on the ornament. So honestly, most of the time I just kind of eyeball this, but this time I'm pressing it down onto the ornament itself and kind of trying to use the edge of the ornament to trace it out. And then I'm going to cut it out using my rotary blade. Always cut it a little bit bigger than you probably need it because you can always trim off more. Now before we attach the bottom, I do need to attach my little alien stitch. So I am going to be using a combination of E6000, which is like a really strong super glue, and hot glue to attach him to the top of the ornament. So I'm just doing a dot of E6000, and then I'm going to do a couple dots of hot glue. The hot glue is going to allow for him to attach immediately, but the E6000 is going to provide a way longer term hold, so I know that he won't fall down at some point in the ears and like be rattling around in there. So I definitely suggest using some sort of super glue along with hot glue. And then to close up the ornaments, I'm doing an extremely thin line of hot glue around the perimeter of it and closing it. And the reason I say extremely thin is because the hot glue will ooze out of the ornament and make it kind of messy if you're not careful. Next, we're going to hot glue that little felt oval onto the bottom of the ear. This was pretty easy, but you again just want to make sure that you're being kind of slow and steady with your hot glue so that you don't use too much, because if you overdo it, it could like drip down into the ornament and that would kind of ruin the look that you're going for. Or it might look like his spit dripping down, which could probably work out. But anyway, I did it a section at a time, so I did about half of the bottom, and then I attached the felt and then did the other half, just allowing myself a little bit of time to work with the hot glue. To make for the bow for these ears, I'm going to be using 1.5" ribbon that's 10.5 inches long, and I did cut 2 strips of a blue satin ribbon along with 1 strip of this glittery black tulle looking ribbon. I did use a lighter to sear the edges to make sure that they didn't fray, so I just ran a lighter along the edge of the ribbon, and then I'm going to be closing them up just with a line of hot glue. So taking the ribbon, I'm just going to do a thin line of hot glue on the edge of it, and then I'll fold over the other edge and tap it down into the hot glue and create 3 closed little rings of ribbon. To assemble the ribbon, I'm going to do a blue circle with the glittery black one in the middle, and I'm going to make sure that that is overlapping both of my blue strips. So the blue are on the inside and the glittery black ribbon is on the outside, and then I'm going to pinch this inward to create that kind of classic bow shape. And then for the center of the bow, I decided to use this silver trim. This is from Hobby Lobby, and it's got kind of a, I don't know, intricate pattern to it. I'm going to be using this on another spot in the ears as well, so I decided this was the best thing for the center. So I just used a dab of hot glue to tack down the trim, and then I wrapped it all the way around and glued down the other end. And then now we have our finished bow. We are going to be hiding the light switch pack inside of this though, so we will need to hot glue closed one end of this bow in just a moment. Before we do that though, I want to get to assembling the ears, so I'm just laying them out using my ear spacing template. I have this linked down below for you guys as well, and just kind of getting like the general spacing of the ears. For the light switch pack, I'm going to be using these lights that I get off of Amazon. I do have these linked for you guys as well, and this is the red one. So I did buy a multi-pack, and leaving the wire, it is actually wrapped like this when it comes into like a figure 8. I'm gluing it down exactly as it comes, so I left it wrapped up in that figure 8 shape, and then I just applied a pretty generous amount of hot glue to that felt and stuck the lights directly to it. And then after I allowed that to dry, I applied another layer of hot glue, and then I'm going to firmly press this down onto the headband. So if you can see here, I've got my light switch pack going toward the center of the headband so that I can hide it in my bow, and then testing out the lights, making sure they're working, everything looks good. I'm just going to allow that glue to dry while I hold this ear in place. After holding it for at least a minute, I am going to go ahead and glue on the other ear. So same thing, just adding hot glue to the bottom of the ear, and then using the ear spacing template, making sure I've got it in the right spot. I'm going to firmly press it down onto my headband and hold it there for at least a minute. I am going to add trim onto this ear in just a minute, but it took me a while if I wanted to decide if I wanted to do red trim or blue trim. If you are going to do the trim, you might want to add it first just because it is a little bit easier to do it before the ear is actually attached to the headband. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and hide this light switch pack. So I'm shoving it up into the bottom of the bow, and then I'm going to use my hot glue gun just to close the bottom of the bow around the wire so that it can't slip out. So just using a thin line of hot glue on that bow and then pinching my bow closed. That is what's going to secure that light switch pack. To attach the bow itself, I'm just going to do a dot of hot glue underneath the bow and firmly hold this down onto the headband. And if I ever really want to make sure that glue dries well, I actually take these little clips from Dollar Tree. They have small ones and like extra large ones, and they work fantastically for this. But there is my light switch pack just hidden inside the bow. Works really great, and I'm not worried about it falling out. I do wish that I had done this portion before adding the bow, so if you're following this, maybe do this before you glue the bow on, but I cut that silver trim that we used on the center of the bow, and I'm wrapping that around the ornament of the headband. This does two things. One is that it gives it kind of like a base, and to me it makes it look more like that little glass case that they lock stitch in at the beginning of the movie. And the other thing is that it does further secure your ear. So if your ear is feeling maybe a teeny bit wobbly or not attached as well as you would like it to be, this will definitely add a little bit of support and further attachment to the headband. On the other side, we're going to be adding red pom-pom trim to the rim of the ear. So doing a thin line of hot glue, I'm going to just do a section at a time. So I added some hot glue, and then I'm going to tap down this pom-pom trim into that glue and work my way all the way around the ear, and then I'll cut off the excess. Once again, I would advise running a lighter over just the edge very gently on the trim to sear the edge and make sure that it doesn't fray on you. And that is the last step in making these ears. I think they came out really, really cute, and I absolutely love the light effect that comes with it. If you guys need any of these materials, I will link as many things as possible in my Amazon storefront. It'll be under my ear making shopping list.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you guys really love Lilo & Stitch, I've also made a Scrump inspired set of ears on my channel before, so I will link that video for you guys as well. And if you are interested in any other type of set of ears, at this point I am just shy, I think, of 100 DIY ear tutorials. I think this is my 99th, if I planned them out correctly. So you guys be sure to subscribe to my channel if you are new so that you can get the notification of my 100th set of ears, because I'm gonna try to do something special. Do I know what that is at this moment in time? No. We will be surprised together. If you guys made it all the way to the end of this video and you don't know what to leave me in the comments, then just write 626 so that I know that you made it all the way through to the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.